Hello, we are back reading number 6, the light novels. Yippee! Alright, we are in chapter 2, volume 2. Exciting. What's there to say? It's the end of the day for me. I'm pretty chill. If you sorry. It's been a day. Okay, but we're on chapter 2. This chapter is called The Place of the Gods. Should I be worried? Let's find out, I guess. Okay. Then the goddess Hana decided to use her last resort. She gathered not several, but hundreds, thousands of bees, and said, "You are small and nimble, and fly as swift as the light, so you shall surely be able to find the god Telepinu. Now go." Disappearance of Telepinu. Hita myth. I know words. We're just gonna move on. If somebody knows how to actually pronounce that, then do leave a comment, cause there was a person collapsed at the foot of a spindly tree whose bark was whiter than the rest. He was a little boy, even smaller than the girl in size. He was writhing in pain. Shion took him in his arms and sat him up. Even in the settling dusk, he could tell that the boy was deathly pale. He was clawing at his throat, and his mouth was open, but his lips were bloodless. Suffocation. He was choking from something stuck in his throat. There was no time to waste. Supporting the boy's belly with one arm, Shion thumped his back with the palm of his other hand. "Spit it out! Come on!" he urged. Twice, then a third time. He kept hitting the boy's bony back. 4 times, 5 times. The boy retched, and vomit spilled out of his mouth. There was a dark, round object mixed in with it. The boy twitched slightly. "Water! Bring water!" Shion commanded Nezumi again. He laid the boy down and brought his own cheek to the boy's mouth. He could feel definite breathing. "He's all right. He's breathing." He didn't need to clear the boy's airway or give him artificial resuscitation, but his consciousness. "Call his name." The girl responded quickly to Shion's words. She bent over the boy, bringing her face close to his, and called his name. "Rico, can you hear me? Hear me? Rico!" "Rico, can you breathe?" Shion called after her. The boy's chest swelled largely. His eyelids fluttered and opened. A tear spilled over and rolled down his cheek. "Sis." "Rico!" Shion gently restrained the girl as she... Oh, okay, that was a girl. "Rico!" Shion gently restrained the girl as she tried to throw her arms around the little boy. He slowly raised Rico's upper body off the ground and brought a cup of water to his mouth. "Can you drink this?" "Yeah." "Good boy. Drink it slowly. So your name is Rico, huh?" "Mm-hmm." "Rico, can you hear your sister's voice and my voice clearly? Can you see us just fine?" "Yeah. And the water tastes good." "You're a good boy," Shion enthused. "You've done a really good job. Does your stomach feel alright? Does your chest hurt at all?" "My throat." "My throat hurts." Rico had probably torn at his throat in pain, for it was covered in scratches which were beginning to bleed. Shion retrieved some gauze and rubbing alcohol from the emergency kit. They were 4 years old, but now this was all they had. "This is going to sting. Don't cry." "I won't." He swabbed the wounds, pressed a fresh piece of gauze to them, and wrapped Rico's neck with a bandage. Shion could only give him the most basic of emergency procedures. This was the best he could do. If he had said anything along the lines of "to the hospital," Nezumi would have laughed in his face. Shion knew very well that in this area, the West Block No. 6, there was no such thing as a decent medical facility. From what Rico had vomited out, Shion picked out what appeared to have been blocking his airway. A nut? It was small and round. Why would this be? Rico hung his head. Nezmi folded his arms as he stood and gave a short sigh. He was hungry. Huh? He was probably so hungry he couldn't bear it anymore. That nut, if you grind it into flour, it's edible. He was probably in the middle of gathering them when he got hungry. He got so hungry he decided to put one in his mouth, which was all good until he swallowed it by mistake. This is my guess of what probably happened. Rico's always hungry, the girl said. Even if Mom gives him part of her bread, he's still hungry. It's such a tiny piece of bread, Rico protested. One bite and it's all gone. He dissolved into a fit of coughs. His voice was raspy and his face was still pale. Shion rubbed his body in a blanket. Keep warm. If your neck still hurts, I'll treat it for you. Come again any time. Take them home. Shion raised his face at Nezmi's words. Me? Yeah, you. You helped them, so finish your job and see them through. They live in the house down the slope. It's not that far. Their mother is probably getting worried their mother is probably getting worried right about now. That means he would have to show himself to an adult. Shion stood up. He didn't know why, but he had started to shake. But You'll have to go out there one day anyway. If you're getting scared now, you'll never be able to walk the streets. Well, not that it's any of my business, but if we stay out here in the rain any longer, someone's going to catch pneumonia. He had forgotten that it was raining. Shion finally noticed its coldness. It seeped right into his bones and reminded him that winter was approaching. Well, I'm off. The prince can do as he pleases. Nezmi turned his back to them and descended down the steps below. Rico sneezed. The girl extended her small hand and grasped Shion's fingers. Thank you. Huh? Thanks for saving my little brother. Oh, no, it's not, Shion stammered. You don't have to thank me. What's your name? Karan. Karan? That's the same name as my mother. Really? Yeah. The girl smiled. Shion could feel the warmth of the girl's hand as she clasped his fingertips. He scooped Rico up, blankets and all. I'll take you two home. Karan, lead the way. This has a note, but I can't read it, but it says it's spelled Kalan now. So I don't know. Usually it's spelled Karan, so maybe it's just I don't know. I know those two. Those letters are very similar. But I don't know. There's probably something about that. I'll probably read it at the end. There was steam rising out of the pot on the kerosene heater. Inside it was soup. As he stirred the broth of vegetables and meat, Nezmi gave a sigh. He flinched when he realized he had sighed without thinking. A few droplets of soup splashed out of the pot and hissed as they hit the RDF heater. He hated sighing. Sighing on purpose was a different matter, but this kind of sighing, the kind that escaped his lips without his knowing, irritated him. Never sigh in earnest, never cry. You'll be taken advantage of by demons. He had been told that by an old woman, so far in her years that age seemed not to matter. Sighing creates an opening of vulnerability. If you want to stay alive, keep your mouth shut. Never let anyone see your weak spot. Let your heart warm to no one. Never trust anyone but yourself. They were her dying words. She had been shot through the chest and was frothing bloodily at the mouth, but her words had rung clearly in his ears. Nezmi didn't think of ever forgetting them. Even if he did, her voice would not let him. It clung tenaciously to his mind and refused to let go. But he had turned his back on it. He had let an unheeded sigh escape his lips without even realizing. All thanks to him. He ticked his tongue in frustration. Maybe it was a mistake to bring Shion here. He seriously thought so. Shion had opened the door without hesitation. He had thrown it open wide without even checking what was on the other side, or concealing himself in shadow. If they had been unlucky, he would have lost his life. Even if the visitor had not been an armed soldier, it may as well have been an armed robber using a child as bait. Here in the West Block, it would not be an uncommon thing, but that was something Shion didn't know. He didn't know how to be suspicious or cautious, or to be afraid. It was the ignorance and recklessness of one who had grown up in safety and security. He honestly felt that he had taken a dangerous and troublesome burden under his wing. No one had forced him to. He had borne the burden of his own will because he wanted to return the favor he owed. There was no way he could have let him die. Shion, who had saved his life, expected nothing in return. There was no way of returning a favor to the dead, and Nezumi didn't want to carry a debt that he would never be able to repay. That was why he rescued and brought Shion here. But now, though it may have been careless for him to do so, but now he thought it may have been careless for him to do so. Maybe he had brought with him a bigger risk than he had imagined, an oblivious and careless, dangerous and troublesome. He threw a glance at the door. But if Shion had not opened the door this time, Riko would not have been saved. It didn't take a lot of time for a choking young child to lose his life. Swift action and appropriate treatment. Thanks to that, Nezumi hadn't had to see a small boy with its face permanently contorted in pain. A life had been saved. It was the same as the stormy night 4 years ago. That time, it was him. This time, it was Riko. Shion, both times, had taken them in recklessly, and as a result, saved them. Readers note, it takes 7 minutes to suffocate to death, just so you know. Oh, I'm just so smart like that. I had to share that with you. Why do I know that? It's fine. It's fine. Who knows how long he was even choking before the girl went to get help. Anyway, sorry, that was so loud. Shit. Something is, you know what? I had caffeine today. That's why. Oh, okay. Shion knew the only word. What the fuck? Shion knew the word only through. What is going on? Hang on. Okay. Shion knew the word only through theorems. Is that how you spell theorems? Okay. Through theorems and rationales. Yeah, that's it. He was naive and hadn't even learned how to doubt the trustworthiness of others. He was naturally oblivious. He was clueless, idiotic, and didn't even know who Hamlet was. But Shion was also definitely above him in some ways. Not in knowledge or skill, but what? I'm drawn to you. Was it the power to attempt at this embarrassing confession and to believe that his sincere feelings would actually get across? Was it the power to lend a hand to a total stranger without thinking of the risk it reflected on himself? He didn't know. All he knew was that Shion was, indeed, dangerous and troublesome. There were footsteps. Knocking. The door opened soon afterwards. Shion had come home. If you're gonna knock, wait for an answer before opening the door, Nezumi said curtly. Not like you would answer anyway, right? Replied Shion lightly. But I noticed you left the door unlocked for me. Huh? The lock. I thought you'd locked the door, but you kept it open. He was right. He hadn't locked the door. How reckless of him. Look at me. I've fallen under your horrible influence, Nezumi said woefully. What's that? Hey, ooh, what the fuck is going on? Oh, okay. What's that? Hey, look, I got some grapes as a thank you gift. The grapes were small, and the whole bunch was rather pitiful. She offered me dried fish too, but I told her no thanks. Oh? Said Nezumi sardonically. So even you felt bad about receiving handouts. Oh, yeah, no, what? So even you felt bad about receiving handouts from the poor? No, it was because you don't like fish. Me? I'll eat fish. I'm not fortunate enough to be picky about my food. But you told me once you didn't like it much. What I said and what I can't. Oh, what I said was that I can't eat raw fish, meaning this place is way too unhygienic to even think about eating raw fish. Shion blinked and put a hand to his hair. Oh, oh well. But I'm glad though. About what? Colin's family. Oh, Colin is the girl's name, by the way. I think it's spelled with a L, and it's just similar to his mom's name, okay? Karan. Okay. By the way, I know. Oh, you knew? It's the same name as my mother's. Your mother's name isn't any of my concern, but so, did you bring back memories? Did it bring back memories of your mama and bring you to tears? Poor thing. He had meant it as a sarcastic remark, but Shion shook his head gravely. No, that's not it. There was another child there, a girl, younger than Rico. I think that fish was supposed to be their supper, one dried fish for the three of them. It would have been all right not to accept that, right? But their mother insisted that I accept the grapes. She was really grateful. It kind of made me happy. You really think so? Huh? If that kid had died, there would be more to eat for Karan and the other girl. Even for Rico, wouldn't you have thought it would be better for him to die rather than grow up in constant hunger? Maybe you haven't actually done them a favor at all. Shion sat down in front of the heater. His white hair, leaning more on transparent, was tinged red with the colors of the flame. His youthful hair had lost its color, but still retained its shine. It's beautiful, Nezumi thought. Shion's head of hair glimmered as it reflected the light of the things around it, and Nezumi extended his fingertips to touch it. His hair felt slightly coarse, but ran through Nezumi's fingers easily. It felt like ordinary hair, no more, no less. You told me to live, Shion said quietly, his face still turned to the flames. Nezumi, you said there's meaning to being alive, and that's why I should live. That's what you said. I just said whoever lives wins. That's the same thing, isn't it? How should I know? The dead could not speak. All they could do was lay there as a corpse and return to the earth from which they came. They had no way to speak of the hatred, the cruelties, anguish, loathing, or grief they went through. That was why he had to live. He would live, preserving everything in his memory, and pass it on. Number 6. It was like an artificial flower that left no seeds behind. It bloomed on the blood and corpses of a countless number. I'll pull you right out of the ground one day. Then you'll have no choice but to hear the voices of the dead, their hatred, their hardships, their anguish, their loathing, as it wells up out of the very ground and soaks the earth. I'll make sure you hear, even if you plug your ears. Until then, I'll live and remember. To forget is not a choice. His own self didn't allow him to. I got complimented. Shion looked up at Nezumi and grinned. Complimented? For what? My hair. Karan's mother said it was very nice. She said it was really unique and really pretty. Nezumi shrugged. Well, it's unique for sure. There are tons of kids around here that have white hair from malnutrition, but no one with a whole head of snowy hair like you. She didn't just say it was unique, she said it was pretty. Are you gushing about how someone complimenting your hair? What are you, a girl? But, well, you know, it gives me a bit of confidence, said Shion happily. For when you show me around town tomorrow. Phrasing, my guy. Who said I was gonna show you around? You said so. He did say so. He had said that he was going to show Shion around. Nezumi felt like a sullen child. He averted his gaze from Shion. I'm going to go about my business. You can go about yours. Okay. I'll mind my own business and tag along. Oh, and one more thing. What now? I promised Karan and Rico I'd read to them when I have time. I found a lot of picture books in your stash, so... You're gonna read to them here? If it's sunny, I can take them outside. Nesme came close to sighing again, but he caught himself in time to seal his lips and hold it in. Are you trying to make this place a kindergarten? Are there that many children around here? Oh yeah, tons. But this is my place. Don't go around doing things without my permission, and don't think you're entitled to everything. What the fuck? His words turned crude. There was a stinging irritation within his chest. Being with Shion irritated him. He felt like his restraint would snap any minute. It wasn't because Shion was being reckless or imposing. He admitted that Shion wasn't. It was because he couldn't see through him. There was no way to predict what Shion was thinking or what he would do. His actions and words always seemed to hit Nezumi out of the blue. It was tiring. Shion was settling plates out on the table. The soup was finished, and its gentle aroma filled the room. I wasn't thinking I was entitled to anything. It's just that since Kara and Riko and I are friends now. Huh? Friends, Shion repeated. They're the first friends I've made since coming here. Well, not that I have many friends back in No.6, he added as an afterthought. I think Safu was the only one. She said she wanted to sleep with you. You don't call that friends. He remembered the ends of her short hair that draped prettily on the back of her neck. Shion, I want to have sex with you. She had put her all into this confession, and Shion had not been able to handle it. What a guy you've fallen for, huh? He remarked in his mind to the girl he barely knew. For some reason, he was suddenly overcome with the urge to laugh. What? Shion cocked his head to the side. Oh, never mind. Was that Shion? Okay. What? Shion cocked his head to the side. Two mice sitting on top a pile of books tilted their heads too, as if to imitate him. Nezumi burst out laughing. He squatted to the ground and gave in fully to the wave of mirth that bubbled up inside him. And that is the end of part A. On to part B. Did I mention it was the end of the day? The end of the day. Sometimes I wonder if you can actually understand what I say because I jumble my words so much. But, I guess that's just my charm. I'm sorry. It is what it is. It's the tism, I twell you. I twell you, it's the tism. It's the twism. It's the twism, I twell you. Okay. Part B. Oh, this has a note. Please excuse my butchered attempt at British dialect, as long as you get the feel for what kind of people these are. Do I have to do a British accent for this part? Oh no. Okay. No, this is fine. I'm gonna preface this with saying, I'm sorry to. Actually, I'm not sorry. No, I'm not sorry. I don't think I need to apologize to British people. That's just a fact. Okay. Listen, I went to a. Okay, you know what? Let's just start. The rain let up before noon, but the clouds still lingered, and the ground remained cold as dusk approached. Nezumi was walking briskly through the throng. Shion was doing his best to keep up behind him. He was out of breath. He was jostled, bumped, and yelled at. He felt the gaze of countless curious eyes raining down on his head. The smell of a dozen things reached his nose, so mingled and melded to get into each other that he couldn't tell what they originally were. The muddy ground tripped up his feet. A sprawl of barracks and tents lined the road, and from them thick smoke billowed rudely into the passerby. In the air, angry bellows, seductive coos, and merchants' cries clashed clamorously. He felt dizzy. The older district of Lost Town, which was where he took up residence after being forced from Kronos, was already bustling and lively, but compared to what he was seeing now, it seemed like a tranquil getaway. In No.6, there were designated roads and paths for both people and vehicles to go in each direction, and as a fundamental rule, stopping suddenly or going the opposite way was prohibited. Everyone walked in the same direction. It was the same orderly fashion. It was rare to ever bump into anyone or to be stopped by an acquaintance. Nothing occurred steadily or unexpectedly. Everything was managed to prevent such things from occurring. No.6 was that kind of place. Reader's note, that sucks. That sucks so much. That's like only being allowed to go one direction on the ice rink. It sucks. Really, really specific example, but you know what I mean. A roar of voices suddenly erupted close by. Shion was shoved violently aside. He lost his footing and fell forward onto his knees in the mud. Several men thundered past him. Something fell from one of their arms, rolled, and came to a stop in front of Shion. It was an orange. Thief! A man burst out from one of the shops in the barracks holding a gun. He was towering and very fat. Them thieves! He roared. Someone catch 'em! No one moved. Some smirked as they looked on, others showed no interest at all, others were shouting unintelligibly, and all the while the so-called thieves were retreating further away into the crowd. Shion's breath caught in his throat. The gigantic man who was taking aim with his gun. The gigantic man was taking aim with his gun. Passers-by who saw him squatted hastily to the ground to take cover. Is he nuts? Shion couldn't imagine this man being in his right mind to open fire on this crowd of people. But the man's face was set in determination. The long muzzle of his outdated firearm was pointed straight before him. The fleeing man bumped into an old woman and pushed her aside as they continued running. She yammered something about them, then returned to hobbling down the center of the road. She was oblivious to the gun that was pointed her way. The giant's thick finger wrapped around this trigger. Shion threw himself at the man just before his hairy knuckle jerked to fire the gun. With as much strength as he could muster, he knocked the muzzle of the gun upward. He felt a heavy impact slam his head and a shot blasted in his eardrums. The muzzle of the gun spewed fire into the darkening sky. Shion staggered. His feet were swept from under him, and he was slammed to the ground. His breath died on his lips. The hell do you think you're doing? The man towered over him with his gun raised, filling every inch of his vision. Shion rolled quickly to the side. The gun moved nimbly for his appearance. What the fuck? The giant moved nimbly for his appearance, and Shion was met with a firm kick to the ribs. Shion grunted in pain. He couldn't speak. His stomach lurched. One of their little friends, eh? Okay, can I just say that I don't think this is... If I were to say this in a British accent, one of their little friends, eh? One of their little friends, eh? The giant snarled. Little fucker, little fucker, fuck. Little fucker taking a swipe of my merchandise. That's awful. How would I just give him a... how would I just give him a southern accent? Like a fucking cowboy, okay? I'm gonna go American. I'm gonna go full on American. One of their little friends, eh? That's not even it, okay? The giant snarled. Little fucker taking a... That's not even it! Oh my god! Little fucker taking a swipe at my merchandise! The man's boot gave off a greasy animal smell, and it was swinging straight toward his stomach again. I'm not one of them! Shion screamed, barely dodging the blow. I have to scream or else he'll really kick me to death. There was no hint of hesitation in the blows that showered down upon him. I'm not one of them, Shion persisted. Shut up, the giant bellowed. Now those bastard thieves are gone. Thanks to your getting in the way. This is really difficult to discern what kind of accent I should. Shut up, the giant bellowed. Now those bastard. Yeah, I can't do it. I can't do it. I keep trying, but I can't do it. If I didn't intervene, someone could have been killed, Shion protested. Opening fire in a place like this, what if you'd hit someone? To his astonishment, the man started laughing. Laughter rose from the crowd that lined the streets as well. And so what if I did? The man roared, emanating his beastly odor. What's that got to do with me, eh? His expression suddenly darkened and he roughly grabbed Shion by his hair. You and your strange mop of yours. What the hell does that mean? Oh, his hair. I don't I don't like the looks of you. He was pulled to the ground forcefully. His scalp burned with pain, and it felt like it was being torn off. But even stronger than the aches on his body were the feelings of wrath and humiliation that seethed within him. Stop it! Shion yelled. Stop it! Let go of me! How dare you treat me like cattle! Shion threw himself at the man again and slammed his body into him as hard as he could. He felt his elbow dig firmly into the man's swollen gut. The man let out a muffled groan and fell to his knees. The crowd had formed a ring around them. Clapping, whistling, and raucous laughter erupted periodically. That's the spirit, young'un. Give him what he deserves. Kill him off, old man. There's no use wasting time here. No one tried to stop them. Everyone was enjoying the spectacle from a safe distance. Shion searched the jeering crowd with for a pair of gray eyes. He couldn't find them. You little... He heard a booming roar that sounded more animal than human. Then he felt the blow bludgeon his cheek. A blow bludgeoned his cheek. Sparks burst before his eyes, and his vision went dark for a short instant. Something warm was filling his mouth. Unable to bear it, he spat it out. Saliva mixed with blood splattered and oozed over the dirt. Playing funny tricks! The man's face was flushed red, and he was shaking with rage. His eyes were bloodshot, and his veins were raised and throbbing over his skin like a crimson web. The murderous intent that radiated from him was unmistakable. You're gonna pay for this, he growled. The gun was aimed right between Shion's eyes. Shion couldn't close his gaping mouth. He felt like his heart was going to burst out of his chest, and still, no one stopped him. In this crowd of people that surrounded them, not a single one stepped in to stop the man. He felt nauseous. He couldn't tell whether the muzzle before his eyes was real or just an illusion. Hey, a deep voice punctuated the din. It belonged to a man who was roasting meat in front of his store. Pieces of blackened meat covered the grill, which was billowing thick, sooty smoke. Don't be making a mess in front of my store, he said. I ain't making a mess, the man growled. You were about to. You were. If you go blowing brains and blood all over the place, everyone's gonna lose their appetites, they is. Take it somewhere else. I don't think that's British dialect. Okay. The giant scoffed. No one's gonna have any appetite for your half-rotten meat anyway. What's that? The man shot back. Rotten meat? You's the one selling rotten meat and rotten fruits and vegetables. You's sure one to talk. Our produce is fresh. You must be kidding me. Even at this season, they's flies swarming all over them. If they's not rotten, these must be right withered. Okay. Okay. If I attempt this with a British accent. You must make it. I don't know. I don't know why I do that. What are you like? What are you like? You must be kidding me. Even in this season, they's flies swarming all over them. If they's not rotten, they's must be right withered. That's not too bad. I mean, it's awful. It is awful, but... What, you little... The men lurched at each other. Shion raised himself off the ground and started running. Hey, damn it, you come back here! The man bellowed angrily. Shion had no time to turn around to check. His body bristled in fear and being shot from behind at any second. He tripped. This way. He was grabbed by the arm. This way, quickly. He was dragged into a narrow alleyway between two buildings. Shion leaned back heavily against the wall and drew several deep breaths. Oh, who is this? Who is this? Doing all right there? He lifted his face. A woman was smiling at him. Her red, painted lips floated up vividly in the dim gloom. The lips parted wide again. Oh dear, you've cut your lip. It's bleeding. Looks like you had a hard time back there. Poor thing. The strong smell of her perfume filled Shion's nostrils. Thank you for helping me, Shion said to her after his breathing had returned somewhat back to normal. There was a few seconds of silence, after which the woman suddenly burst into laughter. I wonder how long it's been since someone's sent what the fuck? I wonder how long it's been since someone last thanked me, she chuckled. It feels like years. By the way, you've got interesting hair, sweetie. Huh? Oh, I've been through a lot of things. We've all been through a lot of things, and so have I, here. Despite the biting cold, the woman was clad only in a thin dress that bared her shoulders. She pulled her neckline down to show him, and a pair of voluptuous breasts appeared. Okay. Their whiteness stood out even more than her red lips. Shion's eyes stung. Look, you see there's a burn mark. A man did that to me with a hot metal rod a long time ago. It was hell, I'm telling you. But look, see? Doesn't it kind of look like a snake? Like a snake is slithering over my chest. I've got a snake too, and it's coiled around my whole body. He thought so, but he didn't put it into words. The woman continued, giggling softly. Sweetie, don't you have any experience with women? Huh? Shall I give you a lesson? My place is just up ahead. Why don't you come over and we can have a good time? How's that sound? What? Shion repeated dumbly. I'm asking if you want to come over and have a good time. Irritation crept into the woman's voice. I haven't got anything to do until nighttime either. Don't worry, it won't cost too much. So why don't we enjoy ourselves, The woman's arm reached around Shion's neck. He was pushed back against the wall, her lips pressed firmly against his. The strong scent of her makeup washed over him. He felt faint. Her warm tongue glided in between his teeth and mingled with his own. Shion found himself reflexively pushing the woman away. What was that for? She said indignantly. No, this isn't... What are you mumbling on about? I helped you, didn't I? Being my customer is the least you can do. Customer? But I'm not going to force you if you don't want to, but you still owe me money for that kiss. What? Shion asked incredulously. The woman's lips twisted and her voice turned sugary sweet. Now, don't be disagreeable, she purred. You're a man, aren't you? Come on, let's take it easy. I'll make sure you have a good time, so come on over to my place, sweetie. No thanks, it's really... Her white arms came clinging onto him again. Shion was frozen rigid even more than when the gun had been pointed at him. He couldn't move. Side note, Mans is more afraid of women than he is afraid of guns. Okay, but honestly, this situation, yeah, fair. Fucking fair. What's going on? Oh shit. 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 Cousin already. Okay. Would you mind? A voice spoke. That one belongs to me. Nezumi was standing at the entrance of the alleyway. The woman furrowed her brows. What? He's mine. Could I get him back? Nezumi extended his hand as if to beckon Shion over. The woman drew her chin up and smiled thinly in realization. I see. No wonder I was getting such a slow reaction. Sweetie here isn't interested in women. What? Actually, that's not true. I'm... Nezumi pressed a hand over Shion's mouth and smiled at the woman. That's right. He's so head over heels for me, even the most beautiful girl couldn't attract his attention right now. The woman hunched her shoulders as if to say, oh well. She glanced at Shion. Money, she said. I don't care which way. What? I don't care which way Sweetie swings, but I still need payment for that kiss. 1 silver coin. Nezumi laughed softly. A whole silver for that kiss? That's pretty expensive. That's how much it's worth. If Sweetie can't pay up for it, you better pay. What? If Sweetie can't pay for it, you better pay up for him. You're his lover, aren't you? Footing the bill once isn't gonna do any harm. I guess you're right. Yeah, sure. Could I get change then? Change? Nezumi leaned in toward the woman. He grabbed her arm as she tried to back away and drew her close. What? The woman's lips parted in mid-sentence. The woman's lips parted in mid-sentence were met by Nezumi's. It happened right before Shion's eyes. The woman resisted for a moment, then was still. Only her bare and exposed throat contracted slightly as she swallowed. A dog was barking somewhere in the distance. A sewer rat scurried its way past Shion's feet and disappeared. Nezumi drew away from the woman. How was it? He asked. Not bad, the woman replied. But not enough to give you change. That's unfortunate, Nezumi said ruefully. Then this here for milady. Nezumi placed an orange in the woman's hand and turned his back to her. He pulled Shion by the arm. Right, let's get going. The woman called after them with her arms crossed. Sweet cheeks, don't let yourself get too involved with that man. It's a waste, you know. Make sure you get a taste of what it's like to have fun with a girl. They weaved back into the crowd. The bustle and mixture of smells that had agitated Shion only moments before were now a source of relief. Why? He muttered to himself. Nezumi drew up by his side. Why what? Why am I sweet cheeks and you're that man? Must be because I have more life experience. And she said I was slow, Shion grumbled. You are slow. And dense. Especially concerning women. I hope I didn't ruin your first experience by walking in on you. Nezumi snickered. Nezumi. How long were you watching for? Probably sometime around when you started attacking the fat guy. Okay, we don't need that here. You could literally just say that guy, or like, the fuck? Okay. Shion stopped in his tracks. He was bumped into from behind and yelled at angrily. What? Oh. Okay, Shion stopped in his tracks. He was bumped into from behind and yelled at angrily. Why didn't you come to help me? I did. You were this close to being eaten alive by a witch. Gobble gobble. Heads first, too. But before that, I was being held at gunpoint. That's your fucking mess, Nezumi said scathingly. His gray eyes. His gay eyes. His gray eyes glittered harshly, like the blade of a sharp knife. Nezumi's smile always seemed to fade instantaneously. Let me tell you something, Shion. If you're going to keep being naive and think that someone will always jump in to help you, you'll never survive here. Depending on other people isn't going to keep you alive. You make sure you get that straight. Nezumi turned his face away and started walking faster. Shion could feel the heat rising in his cheeks. Nezumi was right. He was being naive. He had thought it was only natural that Nezumi would come to help him. Shion had been leaning on him all this time. An insolent burden that was dragging him down. Here he was, hoping to be treated equally, yet at the same time expecting to be defended as if it was something he was entitled to. Shion was overcome with shame. He trailed close behind Nezumi, who had his superfiber cloth wrapped around his shoulders like a cape. But you did manage to defend yourself back there, said Nezumi, slowly, slowing his gait slightly. Back where? With that guy. You waited for the right chance to get away. Oh, that? Shion said. No, I was just desperate at that time. He looked like he was seriously about to shoot. He probably was. If you were unlucky, you probably would have had half your head blown off and you be lying there on the street. I don't even want to imagine. It's giving me the chills. He really was shaking. There was mud smeared over the knees of his pants and the hem of his sweater. He tried to brush it off and tripped over something. Whoa! He fell forward but managed to regain his balance in time to turn around. There were a pair of legs. Their feet were bare. The upper half of the body was lying face down, swallowed up in the darkness of the alleyway. Is he sleeping here? Hello? Can you hear me? Shion called over to him. He was yanked from behind. Will you stop doing that? Nezumi said in annoyance. If we don't hurry up, it'll get dark in no time. Jeez, do you have a fucking thing? What? Where did the fucking come from? Sorry. Jeez, do you have a thing for making detours? Nezumi clicked his tongue. But this man, he's going to catch a cold if he sleeps out here like this. He isn't going to get any colder than that. He's dead. What? A woman called over to them nearby from her clothing shop. Oi, are you two acquaintances with this here? If you are, mind cleaning it up? That was terrible. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for everyone who had to hear that. I'm not even sorry to British people. I'm just sorry to everyone, actually. Are you... If you are, mind cleaning it up? It's blocking the way, making a mighty nuisance out of itself. Nezumi shook his head slightly. Of course not. I've never seen this old man before. It's a woman. An old beggar lady. Out of all the places, she bloody had to snuff it right in front of my What? In front of my store, the git. My deepest sympathy. The mother. This is tripping me up too much. My deepest sympathies. My deepest sympathies, Nezumi said solemnly. Make sure you get her cleaned up. That's enough. That's enough of your cheeky attitude, little bugger, the woman bleated, swinging around a red piece of cloth. Her arm was as thick as Shion's thigh. I'd go flying if I got punched by that, Shion thought to himself. He was yanked along by Nezumi. The side of those legs, like withered twigs, overlapped with another pair of legs, wrapped in a fine pair of trousers and wearing leather shoes. They were the legs that protruded from behind the bench, in a secluded corner in the forest park outside No.6. It was the first dead body that Shion had borne witness to, and the first victim that it had claimed. He wasn't killed by it. Nezumi smiled wanly, as if to read Shion's thoughts. That old man, or woman was it? She wasn't eaten by any parasite wasp. It was either hunger or the cold, maybe a combination of both. That carted her off to heaven. There's a whole season for that, and it's coming soon. Season for what? Where people freeze to death. Old people, children, the infirm, the weak ones die out first. It's the season of natural selection. Natural selection. Shion murmured the words. They were cold, like a frozen confection, but they were neither sweet nor delicious like one. They were just cold. The tip of his tongue felt numb. Shion, you said there would be lots of casualties in the Holy City when the parasite wasps became active again in spring, right? Yeah. Well, here, people die every day, especially in the winter. Which ones do you think is easier to go through? Being devoured by a wasp or starving and freezing to death? Shion had put his hand to his neck without thinking. There was a scar at the base of it, where the incision had been made. Underneath was the thing. It had failed It had failed in hatching and was half melted when it was found, but then had been struggling to eat its way out from the spot. The vicious pain, the suffering, and despair from that time was still fresh in his mind. He never wanted to go through the same thing again, but he had no way of comparing this with the elderly woman's death. He had no idea what it was like to starve or freeze. Nezumi, what's going to happen to her? Her? That body. It's not just gonna get left there, is it? Of course not. It might get cold out here, but bodies will still rot if they're left out like that. Then wild dogs and crows will come pick at them until it's impossible to do anything, so they usually get cleaned up before them. So there must be a communal cemetery or something. Cemetery? There's no land that we can put aside for dead people. The disposers come. See over there? The guys that are sitting there eating meat. See them? In the direction where Nezumi pointed, there was a ripped tent, under which there were several burly men sitting, talking loudly and devouring meat glistening with fat. A scraggly, pitifully thin dog was lapping desperately at the juices that dripped from them onto the ground. There was a strange vehicle parked beside the tent. It was a bicycle, strapped to a flat cargo bed on wheels. Sitting on top was a large basket. They're the disposers. In exchange for money, they get rid of the dead bodies. It's people like that old hag back there that will eventually cough up the money to get it done. They don't want a body lying around their store, but they're too disgusted to pick it up and toss it to someone else's property, or they feel guilty about doing it, so they dismiss it as their unlucky day and call up the disposers to get rid of it. I hear it's a pretty lucrative business. I guess it would be, since there are people that die all the time on the road who have no friends or relatives. Do they bury the bodies properly? They burn them. They gather them all in one place and set them on fire. I guess you can call it some sort of cremation if you want. They don't get anything fancy like a requiem or prayer of repose, though. That's for sure. Shion's eyes met with a man who was in the midst of ripping a chunk of meat off the bone with his teeth. He grinned widely and grease dripped from his sparse whiskers. Then he stood up and started making his way toward them. He tossed the bone carelessly onto the ground, and the scraggly dog pounced on it. Hey fellas, how'd you like to join us? His arm reached out, and before Shion could dodge it, he was grabbed roughly by his hair. So it's real, huh? I thought it was a wig. Pretty interesting hair you got. Stop it, Shion yelled. Let me go. Not bad. I never seen this kind of hair myself. Kind of pretty, actually. You almost look like a doll of some sort, little fella. Vulgar laughter erupted from his group of companions sitting behind him. Shion turned to look beside him. There was no Nezumi. There was no sign of Nezumi, who had been there moments before. Let go, he repeated loudly. No need to make a ruckus now. Why don't you just join us for some drinks? We've got meat too. I said let go, Shion said through clenched teeth. The bulky man showed no signs of loosening his grip. Shion could feel the man's breath on his cheek, putrid with the smell of alcohol and meat. He turned his face away. Nezumi. He bit his lip hard and resisted the urge to call out his name. He had to try to defend himself first, or no one will come to help him. Shion let his body relax. Fine. I give in. I'll join you for one drink. I'll join you just for one drink. That's so. There's a good fella. This way. The man's arm relaxed just slightly. Shion lifted his leg, aimed at the man's groin, and kicked as hard as he could. The man let out a muffled groan and doubled over as he collapsed to the ground. Shion leapt over his curled back and broke into a sprint. Running away is all I've been doing today. The fleeting remark crossed his mind, but soon disappeared. He tore through the street as fast as his legs would carry him. There were less people milling about, which made it easier for him to thread his way through. No more alleyways for me, he thought, and concentrated on keeping straight to the road. If he stopped, he felt like he would be grabbed by the collar from behind. Ah! His foot slipped, and his body floated up momentarily. Then he was slammed to the ground. The pain jolted through his body from head to toe. Oh my god. Whoa! Now he was sliding downwards. He was on a slope of gray concrete. Ow. Though now it felt more of a steep slide. He hurtled downwards. Shion closed his eyes and brought his arms over his head to protect it. The action made him lose his balance, and he tumbled forward in a somersault. His vision went dark. Just as he was about to scream, the smell of moist dirt reached his nostrils. He was thrown out onto the ground. Clouds of dirt flew into his mouth. Shion lay coughing for several moments, and then stretched out on his back. His heart was thudding frantically, and it was hard to breathe. Dull and sharp pains alternately throbbed over his body. The taste and sensation of dirt still remained in his mouth. He had never imagined that dirt could taste this sweet and fragrant. He could see the stars. They were winking in the settling dusk. The sky was neither black nor blue, but closer to indigo, with a wash of purple. It was stunningly beautiful. He felt his soul getting sucked into its beauty. He had never thrown himself out on the ground like this to stare up at the sky. Had something as beautiful as this always existed above him? He heard quiet footsteps padding toward him, a wistful whimper. A warm tongue slowly licked his forehead and his hair. You! It was the dog, the skeletal dog that had been hanging about the group of men. It lapped at his head persistently. Are you worrying about me? As soon as the words were out of his mouth, Shion noticed something else. When he had been grabbed by the man, his hair had been smeared with grease and meat juices. The dog was licking that spot with enormous concentration. Okay, that's enough. That's enough, Shion said. I don't want you to slobber all over my hair instead. Shion propped himself up off the ground and stood up carefully. He didn't feel any severe jabs of pain. It looked like he had managed not to sprain anything or break any bones. He let his gaze take in everything around him. He inhaled sharply. He was in the midst of a ruin. End of chapter 2. Ooh, okay. A lot of big words today. And a lot of struggling with accents, but that's okay. That's okay. Attempting accents and then deciding not to. That's okay. But yeah, that is it for today. Thank you for joining me. I will see you next week. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Rest of your week. Until next time. I'll see you for chapter 3. Goodbye.